Hey, this is Mike with 4 and 6 Music. So when you're first learning the guitar, a lot of times you get to turn to the internet for help. And on the internet you have tabs or tablature that have the songs written out in tab form. So tabs is pretty much sheet music for the guitar, but instead of using notes, it uses the fret numbers and the strings as well to relay that information, right? So we're going to look at a song by Mercyful At the Sound of the Demon Bell from their Melissa album. And when I looked up the tabs for this song, the beginning I noticed was not correct to what I was hearing. And this is a common problem that you'll find. So a lot of times online, some resources that I like to use for learning tabs would be Songster and Ultimate Guitar. The drawback to Ultimate Guitar is that you don't have the rhythm written out, whereas with Songster you do. I find it to be a lot clearer on Songster, but that doesn't mean it's without its mistakes. And right from the beginning of this song, I spot some errors. Not too many, but enough for it not to be correct. So if we look at the song At the Sound of the Demon Bell from the Songster tab, we have... And for the most part, that sounds okay, but then when you listen to the song, there's some parts that are not sounding correct. So let me play the beginning part, just so we can hear that. So what I would do is I would actually move what's being written to a lower part of the guitar. So instead of playing... Instead of playing over there, I would move that part to the second fret over here. So that's going to sound a little bit more like this. But still something's not correct. And if we listen to the song again, just the beginning part, we notice the discrepancy over here. In that. So with YouTube, what's really nice is you have this feature where you can slow down the song. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to slow that beginning part down so we could hear that clearly. And if we go to that one particular part that I mentioned before, right over there, on the tabs it's written this way. But if we listen to that, that's not quite what's being played over there. That's not the chord. So one way to determine this is to learn it by ear. And this is the way that a lot of musicians learned songs before the internet was a thing. And in order to learn by ear, one way to familiarize yourself with the guitar and with learning songs is by using intervals. So intervals is basically the space in between notes, and you have small spaces like seconds and a little bit larger intervals, not too much bigger, but a little bit bigger, like thirds or fourths. Fifths. So all those intervals sound different because the space in between the notes are different. The space is either going to be a little bit less or a little bit more. So with this song, in this particular part, we have these fourths written out on the Songster tabs. But if we listen to that, we hear that bass note. Doesn't really sound correct when we compare it to the song. Sounds a little bit more like this. And again, I'm just taking that lower note in order to figure that out. So instead of playing both those notes at the same time, I'm just going to play that lower note on the fourth string with that open A string, the fifth string, alternating between that. And again, it doesn't sound right, so when I play it this way, sounds a little bit better, sounds correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that note on the high string, on the third string, or G string, and then I'm going to switch our low note for those chords from the, let's say we use that first chord on the second fret, I'm going to switch that from the second fret to the third fret, then I have, which now starts to sound more accurate. So let's listen to that part. Instead of... So now we're starting to use our ear in order to figure this out. Again, with tabs that are written online, they're not always going to be correct. So one way to determine whether it's correct or not is by using your ear. And although most of the beginning part is correct, two things I would change. One, the chord that's being played in that section over there, and also the location, because it doesn't really make sense to play it over there when you have the third and the fourth string over there, and then you use, again, that open A string throughout. For me, it just works a little bit better if I'm playing that on a different string, and then having that fifth string, the A string, open in order to get that open A string palm muted sounds alternating between the chords. So when we revise that, it will sound a little bit more like this. Which sounds a little bit more accurate to the song. And when you're finished learning a song, or just learning a section of the song, best thing is to play along with it and see how accurate you are. So if we do that, we have that introduction down. Again, that's a great way just to check whether you're correct or not, is by playing along with the song. And you can do that at the normal speed of the song, or you can slow it down, because again, on YouTube, you're able to slow down the playback speed of a song. And the nice thing is that it does not affect the pitch of the song or the notes in the song. So if you're listening and you're trying to figure out something by ear, it's going to be a little bit easier if you're slowing it down, especially if some passage is a little bit faster, or if something goes by a little bit too quick to pick up at the normal playback speed. So I just want to go over that because that's a very helpful tip for learning songs, not just looking at the tabs and taking that as the final word. You're going to use your ear, and you're going to really critically listen to what you're learning in order to determine whether the tabs are correct or not. And if not, then you're going to have to figure out what is incorrect and how to correct that. And again, certain things such as knowing intervals is going to help tremendously in being able to do that, right? So those are certain things that we do go over in our guitar lessons. That, again, you can book. I teach at-home guitar lessons in Oneida and Syracuse, New York, but I also teach online music lessons as well, so whether you're in the States or abroad, you can take lessons with 4 and 6 Music and learn these skills that help you become a much better musician. So, hope you guys are doing well, and see you in the next video.